Cineverm. Hello and welcome to Cineverm, a podcast discussing films in and out of the cinema. My name is Anthony Renteria, and this week we are joined by a very, very special guest who is officially our first guest. You may recognize him from the Back Bedroom podcast, Jeffery Carroll. How are you doing, man?
Hey, man, good. I'm doing good tonight. I cannot believe I'm the first guest on Cineverm. I feel super honored to be on this podcast.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. So this week, it's very exciting because you're not just the first guest, but we're also reviewing a huge film that both of us have been anticipating for a long time. We've had many phone calls about this movie, so I'm finally excited to air these thoughts out with someone. But this week on episode 55, we're going to be discussing Dr. Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and it is written by Michael Waldron and directed by Sam Raimi. And here's a quick synopsis for anyone who doesn't know. Dr. Strange, with the help of mystical allies, both old and new, traverses the mind-bending and dangerous alternate realities of the multiverse to confront a mysterious new adversary. And as always, we're going to start with a non-spoiler review. So we're not going to spoil anything here if you haven't seen the movie. And then we'll give you a huge time to pause the podcast when that time comes, when we do get into spoilers later. So I guess I want to start off with our initial... Actually, I want to start off with that would be hard to talk about with spoilers. This is one of those movies that's very difficult to dance around.
It's very difficult.
I want to get into... the expectations versus what we got. I think we're going to save that for the spoilers because that way we can get into it. Yeah,
because we can spoil it. Right. Yeah.
Because that's a whole discussion in itself. I think
100%.
Just starting out, I want to get what were your initial impressions after leaving the theater, and then how has the film grown or not grown on you throughout the couple days since you've seen this film?
Okay, so initial impression after the theater was, for me, excitement. And I guess, do we need to... Let me say this is, I know on Cineverm, you and David come with a more... a cinemaphile's view on the movies, right? Like you guys understand movies really well and all the little intricacies and stuff like that. I'm coming from a more just huge comic book fan, huge Marvel fan aspect of it. So I guess let me say that to say this is that afterwards, my impressions, I was super excited for what the movie did and for what the movie did to set up and to hint at in the future. Yeah. As far as how it's grown on me since Thursday night when we went to the showing, it's definitely gotten higher, because I know when I initially rated it, because I came home and did an episode that night, or recorded an episode that night, I gave it an 8.5, and just within that night, I was like, man, you know what it was to me, this is easily a 9.5, and only because of, again, I know I'm watching this movie from a different lens. And that's something I really want to get into with you during this podcast. So I guess let me ask you, how did you feel about it afterwards? Not being as big of a, I don't want to say not a Marvel fan, but maybe not a huge comic book fan, or not as much comic book knowledge.
Yeah. And I was supposed to set that up earlier and I totally forgot. But so the reason Jeffrey's here is because he is in my life so far, my MCU expert, my comic book liaison. We started a comic book podcast called Cineverm about a year ago. So all comic book questions, my go-to has been Jeffery Carroll. So it's been awesome to have him finally lay out the groundwork, because I think I'm coming, how you were saying, I'm coming to the MCU as a film fan and then as a comic book knower, second or actually last, because I don't really know that. Yeah. So So that's why I wanted you on, and that's why I'm excited to like actually dig, and we'll actually dig into all the nitty gritty details and the spoilers. So like if anyone who listens to us who are just more cinephiles or whatever, like I think we'll learn a lot from Jeffrey and like understand like, okay, these characters exist because X, Y, and Z, and they're not just, there for whatever reason. Because I think it's easy for like me and for anyone else who doesn't understand the like the history and the context of like what the comics do, to where we're just like, oh, another character or whatever, whatever that we do. But anyways, so to the impressions, I was excited about the movie just because I was excited about where it could take the MCU forward. And that, again, we're going to get into that in the spoilers. But I wasn't that excited until I started hearing all the rumorings and mummerings and rumblings of, holy shit, like Sam Raimi actually went Sam Raimi. And then that's when I started getting hype. I was like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, if we get an actual Sam Raimi film, I'm going to be geeking out. And I was geeking out in the theater. Like, it was cool because I could feel, there's moments in the movie where I could feel you get insanely hype. Again, that'll be in the spoilers where we talk about those moments. But
for sure,
for me, there was moments in this movie, and not trying to spoil anything, that reminded me of Sam Raimi's older films. Like literally scenes ripped out of older films, and like shots and cinematography, and even like the way he just played with the ideas and the like setups that he does with like the actions and the there's just so much like Sam Raimi moments in it. So like I was excited about that, and then when I came out of the theater, I was excited that I actually got the things that I didn't think he would actually do. Like I never thought we'd go this campy. Like there's moments that 100%. Truly feel like a B movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like it was weird seeing it in a Marvel movie. Like it was just straight up weird. And I honestly, this is something I wanted to ask you, because I'm not sure how big of a Sam Raimi fan you are, but I could kind of feel in the theater that maybe 50% of the audience was not vibing with that.
Man, it's not only 50% of our theater audience wasn't vibing with it. Like 90% of everyone that I've talked to is not vibing with it. And I'm talking to people who in my circles are huge comic book fans, who are huge Marvel fans, who, and all, like, I mean, a majority of them do not like this movie. And it's the Sam Raimi-ness that they didn't like. My counter back to that, now, I'm not a huge Sam Raimi, like I can't sit here and tell you every movie he's done. Obviously, I know the Spider-Man movies, and I do know the, now I forgot the name of it, but Get
Dead
Out,
and
Evil Dead, and then Hell Out of Town, or something. So anyways, I do know that he's got the horror background. I loved it. I love the campiness of it. I love those shots that I know which ones you're talking about, because the one where it's panning from all three of their faces just back to in rotation. Like, I love that. I thought that was so cool. And I agree with you about, I can't believe we got something so B-movie horror film in a major Marvel movie. And it's so crazy because these whole 10 years of doing the MCU, all you hear constantly is, they need to break out of their formula. They need to do something different. You need to let these directors be who they are. So they go and get Sam Raimi. Everybody gets excited because, oh my God, they're actually going to do something different. This movie comes out, it's something different, and everybody hates it. I don't know what to do, man.
Oh, man. And that is something we'll dig into very deeply in the spoilers. But, dude, I feel that too, because I feel like even on my side with the film fans, people were upset because it was Sam Raimi, but they're like, but it wasn't all the way Sam Raimi. So it like really, it really proves that no matter what, you're fucked. You can't make everyone happy. You can hire Sam Raimi. He can go full Sam Raimi, and then everyone's gonna hate it because it's too Sam Raimi. And then the people who like Sam Raimi are like, but why wasn't it just a Sam Raimi movie? It's like, well, it has to be a Doctor Strange movie. Like that's what it is.
Right. It's Doctor Strange. Yeah.
But I think both sides are right, but they're also wrong. And we'll get into it in the spoilers. But just overall, what I wanted to say was, I think there is a problem with the movie, but I don't think it's a director problem. I think it's literally just a writing problem. Like, I think there's some serious issues with the pace of the movie. Like, I think the beginning of the movie is really bad. Like, it's probably like one of the MCU worst beginnings. And
I agree with that.
Like, and there's moments where it's like, wait, what are we doing? Like, what are we setting up? And then it just feels, I mean, honestly, we'll have to save it for the spoilers because I want to get into the nitty gritty. But I think there was a lot of issues behind the scenes that we don't know about yet. Possibly. And I think there's something going on because this feels unlike this feels unlike Kevin Feige to kind of mess up in these weird ways. Like, there are things that the MCU never gets wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and that's something I did want to say, which I know we're already like 11 minutes into this podcast, but I was going to say, you know, hey, I'm here. We're friends. I love Marvel. I love the MCU. Like, but at the same time, like, don't hold back. Like, I want, like, if you think there's issues or if there's some, like, say it, because that, to me, that's what makes, I think you, like, our conversations, like you and me, like, our conversations so great is that even though, like, I am a huge Marvel fan and I'm watching these this way, you're watching them this way, and we're seeing, it's like we're seeing two different movies in a weird way. So yeah, and that's what's got me so excited about this podcast. Like I was telling you the other day, there's so much I want to ask you, but I think we're gonna have to save for the spoiler because I don't want to mess anything up for anyone. But yeah, man, I agree with what you're saying though. The beginning of it for me was really rough. Even the CGI in it at the beginning, like I talk about in mine, man, that CGI at the beginning was bad, like really bad for a Marvel movie. And that kind of threw me at first. I was like, oh man, is this what we're in for? Now it did get better as the movie went on. But I agree, it was very, you know, I don't want to say slow, but the pacing was definitely weird. Like that beginning was just very cut up, it felt like that. Is it spoilers to say that he was at a wedding? Is that spoilery?
No, because I mean, it happened. It literally opens with it.
Yeah. So I feel like that was kind of out of place. Like, because that felt like such a powerful moment. Like when he sat down, and we don't have to go into this until the spoilers, but when he sat down and had the conversation with the other doctor, like, man, that was powerful. And I felt like if that scene was maybe later on, they could have built more emotion and stuff with that. But either way, I agree with you. The beginning was kind of weird.
Yeah, so that is the main crux of my issue. And I mean, like, honestly, most of my issues with, like, the Marvel films, besides the, like, look, I don't like the digital visual look of the Marvel films. But I mean, 99% of movies are shot on digital, so it's not even exclusive to them. And then this movie is, like, I truly think it is one of the most beautiful visual films because of what Sam Raimi does. Like, there's now Sam Raimi's this film, what James Gunn does, what Taika does, and then the Russos. Like, those are the four children of the Marvel slate that I think you can give them, you know, a dog turd and they would find a nice way to shoot it. And they're truly, like, visual artists. And I don't think anyone can take or say anything negative about those four. Like they know what they're doing on a pure filmmaking level. But yeah, I think the narrative is the weakest part. And then there's also, like, and we'll get into the spoilers more, but I wanted to bring it up here just to, like, set expectations for anyone going in, because I think there is a lot of issues with the writing, not just in the pacing and the beginning and, like, what happens, but also with, like, one character in specifics. And I won't go into too many details, but what they do with Wanda, like, in the movie, I liked it. And we'll get into spoilers, the things I liked, but then thinking about how it's playing off WandaVision, and, like, I feel like there's a missing, like, 15-minute chunk of the movie where we were supposed to understand something from her, and I think that's missing, and I think that's making a lot of people who like the Wanda character, because, I mean, honestly, like, her show is, in my opinion, like, there's the Loki show and then her show. Those are the great shows that I've seen.
For sure.
So it feels kind of weird that I don't want to say they're going backwards, but it feels like these people didn't watch that show. And, like they read the bullet list of what's going to happen, but I don't think they wait, this doesn't really, in an emotional arc way, I don't think it connects as well as they thought.
Yeah. And that's weird because the writer for this, I think he wrote for Loki, right?
Yeah, he wrote.
Yeah, okay.
Michael.
But those two teams were so, even the WandaVision and the Loki team were so, they were together with a lot of things because they knew that those two shows would play into this movie so much. And that is a little odd to me that, I know that they're so much more into that show than what we kind of got in the movie. And I think we both know or remember, I think the initial runtime for this movie was a little over 3 hours or something. So a lot definitely got cut from the final or whatever of the movie. So we could be missing big chunks, and maybe some of that would help, steer this thing in a better direction. Yeah.
There was definitely a longer cut. And then when that was happening was when they were saying they were going back for reshoots. And I mean, I know all films do reshoots now, but I'm telling you, there's no way the beginning of this movie was the beginning of the movie. I don't think anyone could write the beginning how it is. And there's a lot of stuff in the movie that I can feel as a writer, I can as soon as it started happening in the movie, I was like, oh, so this is gonna happen, then this is gonna happen. You could tell they were backwards inserting things to make something make sense.
Right.
But we'll get into that into the spoilers. One thing I do want to talk about that is a positive. I think even though I think Wanda's character is not dealt with the best way that I think she should have been, and I felt kind of negative over it. I think Elizabeth Olsen does a great job. With what she's given, she's fucking killing it. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, what did you think about all the performances, with Benedict, with Olsen, with everyone else in the film, without spoiling any of the surprises?
Obviously, yeah. So I guess I'll start with Olsen. She is fantastic. She is so great. She's one of the few still in the MCU family, I guess, that really enjoys her character, that really enjoys what she's doing. Even these past few days since the movie's come out, she's like, hey, I want to be Wanda Maximoff. I want to be y'all's Wanda Maximoff forever. And so I love it when they get so attached to these characters because you can see it, and you can see it with her. She every time she has a performance as Wanda or Scarlet, whatever you want to call her, she's absolutely fantastic. Wong, he's been that kind of steady rock since he was introduced in Doctor Strange 1. I thought he was fantastic in this movie as well. He's one of my favorites for sure. And then the big daddy himself, Benedict, the beginning of this movie, as bad and rough as it was, when he he gets out of bed and he shows him getting dressed. I think I even said it out loud. I was like, "That's my Doctor Strange." It shows him. He's got the just very faint white lines on the side of his hair, and it's, dude. I swear to you, I could find a million comics, Doctor Strange comics, where it's that exact. I mean, it's dead on, and it's just, man, he is Dr. Stephen Strange, and it's I love it. I love him. I love his performance in every movie that he's shown up in, and just like Olsen, he has said that he wants to be Doctor Strange forever and ever, and I hope that we have him as Doctor Strange forever and ever.
Yeah. Dude, I love Benedict in this role. I think he does a great job, and I that's one thing I do like is that I think in the first Doctor Strange, I was afraid that he was going to turn into just a Tony Stark, replacement. But I think, with Infinity War, with Endgame, and then now with this, I think he has kind of cemented himself as his own unique person. And I do like that he's, being his own character, and then also letting Benedict have fun in this film. I think he gets to do a lot. I mean, this is in the trailers, but there's multiple Doctor Stranges. So, like,
Right.
I think he really gets to have fun in a way that he hasn't been allowed to have fun before. And I hope they, like, now that he knows he can be these weird, alternate versions, I hope his character can also, like, express himself a little more.
Start to show.
Because yeah, because I remember in the first one, like, maybe that's his origins, that he is a very serious, like, asshole. Yeah. But I do like how he's opening up there's even, like, fights in this movie that I think would piss some people off because they don't make sense. But it's like, dude, if you're a sorcerer, like, why wouldn't you have a fight that's unique? Like, why wouldn't you do something fucking weird? Because everything's fucking weird.
Right. Yeah. And I guess, because, again, that will be a major spoiler if we go too deep into it, but what I will say, to piggyback on what you are saying, that is his origin. He is he's kind of arrogant, because he was so smart. He became such a high-ranking doctor or neurosurgeon so quickly, and he knew he was the best. And so he had that arrogance about him, and he was very enclosed, which they dip into in this movie as he's talking to one of his other selves, in that house, which we'll get into later. But this movie opened up Doctor Strange, I feel like, on that emotional level. So I think going forward we'll start to see these other. We'll get to see him be, I guess, more himself, which is weird to say since he's playing Doctor Strange, but we'll get to see him be, maybe now he'll be more open and open up a little bit more, because that is his origin. It's a very rough and terrible origin, like his, as he's a child, like his, and this isn't spoilers, this is just comic book origin history. His sister dies when he's young. He couldn't save her because he was still a child. And then right after she dies, his mom gets real sick and dies. And so he's in the hospital for that. They literally walk out of the hospital. His brother gets hit by a car and he dies. And then and then his dad gets real sick, and he refuses to go to the hospital with his dad because he's like, I've already lost everyone. Like, I can't do anything about it. So why am I going to go see him? So that kind of weighed on him, and so that's what turned him into that weird, arrogant, kind of closed asshole.
Yeah. Wow.
So he's got a really crazy, he's got a really crazy, tragic origin story.
Yeah. Oh my. Okay. So this is one thing. So this will be our kind of like final thing before we get into sport. Because I want to ask you this, because like you saying all that, like, dude, that's like, like we watched the Batman together, and I feel like that movie really, it didn't show us, Martha and Bruce's dad getting shot, but like the beginning of that movie painted Bruce as like this fucked up dude. You immediately know this dude's fucked up.
Right.
And like all the things you're just saying, like, I don't remember a lot about the first Doctor Strange, but I remember not liking it because I thought it was almost like trying to be too Inception for some reason. Like all the buildings bending and folding and stuff. Like I was like, I thought Doctor Strange was more. Honestly, this movie felt what I imagined Doctor Strange. And like as someone who doesn't know Doctor Strange, this movie feels like the vibe that first one should have been.
You're 100. Like you're 100%
more satanic.
Yep.
And that really disappointed me from the first one. But like you saying all this like origin stuff, like, dude, that could have been. I mean, honestly, like, again, I think James Gunn is one of the best directors and writers for the MCU. Like the intro of Guardians of the Galaxy, like that was perfect, dude. That was like your typical Disney Pixar, sad kid loses parents and then smash into credits, and you're crying, and then we're getting ready for an adventure. Like I don't understand why we didn't get all that in the first Doctor Strange. Like I think that would have been so cool. And like I guess what I wanted to ask you is, so in the origins, because this is something like as a writer I don't get. Like if you were Marvel and you give me $10 million to write a Doctor Strange movie, well, first I'm going to read all the comics. I'm going to get to know the character. And if I knew that character had that origins, you would have to shoot me to not have that in a film. Because why wouldn't I? So like you as a fan, like do you ever feel like bummed that like, wait, why are we not getting all of that,
Yes and no. Because one, with some characters, 100%. And then there's some that you're just like, like I know that discussion comes up a lot with Spider-Man and with Batman, right? Like, do we need to see Martha and oh my God, what's his dad's name?
Why do we need?
Yeah, I know. I just blanked on
Thomas Wayne.
Thomas. Do we need to see Martha and Thomas get killed every time? Do we need to see Uncle Ben die every time? Do we need to see I get that, right? Because like every iteration shows it. But with some of these characters, yeah, man, I wish that we got more of their origin. Like, I guess you don't show that with Doctor Strange. And here's my only thing. Here's just my thought process on that. Maybe you don't show that with Doctor Strange or maybe they didn't show that with Doctor Strange, let me say. Because Doctor Strange doesn't get hit by a magical lightning bolt. Doctor Strange doesn't, Stephen Strange doesn't get, next to radiation that turns him. Like, Stephen Strange is legitimately just a normal dude who has a very, photographic memory and stuff like that helps him get to where he's at. And so I guess you don't show that because, like, I don't know what you would, unless you just want to show all the trauma he goes through as a child, like, there's, like, that trauma didn't give him his sorcerer powers. You know what I mean? Like, is that what I'm saying makes sense? Like, I guess, like, the stuff he goes through doesn't really make him who he is, but at the same time, it does make him who he is, I guess, if that... I don't know.
But what I bring up is, I think that does, like, because I feel it, and again, not to get into spoilers, but I feel like in this movie, you can tell someone was like, hey, maybe let's dig into some of that kind of stuff to bring him out. And I think when that stuff does come out in this movie, I was like, whoa.
It was on board, right?
Like, this is fucking deep. And
it was a cool interaction.
I feel a connection to Strange now. And I think it would have had, because I feel a connection to fucking Star-Lord because of the intro of that movie.
Right.
Like, it just makes you think, like,
I get it.
I saw this guy as a kid. Like, I've seen him as a kid. And there's just something narratively where you see someone as a kid and then you see them as an adult and you connect the two and you're like, that's the same kid. And then that establishes, because I think the core that I'm getting from Doctor Strange is that he is always the greater good, even when it when it, like, we saw it in Infinity War. Like, this is the only way I have to die. Half of the universe has to die for this period because we will, and that's a line reiterated in this movie as well.
Right.
And I think if you were to show him as a kid lose everything, not be able to make a choice, and then when he gets these powers, when he becomes a sorcerer, and now he's like, I will never make anyone lose more than they have to. Like, I will always save more lives than lose more lives. And I think that, I don't know in the comics if that's his thing, but I feel like every hero has their thing. Batman can't kill. Spider-Man is like, wants to live a life of a young adult while also being a hero. And like the dichotomy of that. Superman is... he's in his underwear, he wants to be human, he wants to be all good all the time, like, in that struggle. And I think if like me as a writer hearing all that stuff, I'm like, dude, this is all there. This is all waiting for you. Like, Doctor Strange is beyond, like, and we'll have to save it for the spoilers. All right, I think that's gonna wrap this up because we're about to dig into spoilers. So
for sure.
We'll
let me just say real quick. I fully agree. We're gonna get it. I swear. See, this is why I'm so excited for this episode. I agree with you 100%. I really do. Like, I think it would be really cool to see that. So what Doctor Strange's thing was, he's like, if he can't do it, then, like, that's what his fear is, because he watched his family die. Like, he couldn't save his sister. He couldn't do anything to help his mom. They walk outside, his brother gets hit. There's nothing like, he hates it for it to be out of his control. And they say it in this movie a lot. Like, Stephen Strange has to be the one with the knife. Stephen Strange has to be the one making the choice. And the way he loses every family member in a very short period of time, I think it's over, like, his origin book. I think within that first comic book, I think he loses his entire family. He was never in choice of any of those. So, yes, I know it does make him, and it would be super cool to see. And so I guess, yeah, it would be cool to see, and I wish they did show more origins of some of these characters, but at the same time, I can see why I guess they choose not to, because they just kind of want to say, hey, let's go, we got to get this thing going. But anyways, go ahead, go into spoilers, let's go.
No. Oh, yeah. So, but before we do the spoilers, but yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, dude, like I don't like. So I'm a proponent of like, if you're gonna change something, it has to be better. Right. You know, like if you're gonna change the origins, it has to be better than what or something unique. Like there has to be a reason why. Like let's say he had blonde hair. Like right. Why does he have blonde hair over their origins? You know, and I think I don't like. There's some choices that, and this is not just Marvel, but like all comic book companies, all like anyone doing any adaptation, especially like in the game space, like the Uncharted movie. Like, why didn't you just make the game is a movie? Right. Like it's literally there. You know, the Witcher games to the shows. Like it's literally like you don't even have to like copy paste that shit. Just type it out and get people to act it. You know, and that's something I'm always frustrated with, because I'm like if you're not going to make it better or make it unique, then why even change it? Like just give us cookie cutter shit.
Just give me I get it.
Yeah. But we'll dig into that more. I guess one final thing before the spoilers, I want to hear like your final statement to anyone who wants to watch the movie now, and give us your review score again.
Okay. If it's okay. So if you want to go watch this movie and you're listening to us right now and you're like, all right, I'm standing here at the ticket booth, what do? I'm going to tell you, if you're a Sam Raimi fan, go see it. If you like his style of movies, that campiness, that horror, you know, I don't want to say cheesy, but I almost want to say cheesy kind of goofiness to it.
It's definitely on the nose.
And something you said a second ago, which is dead on, like this is Doctor Strange. This movie is a Doctor Strange comic book opened up and someone just shook it and like the pieces fell out and they turned it into a movie. Like this movie is so comic book. It's so Doctor Strange comic. So if you're a fan of Sam Raimi, if you're a fan of Doctor Strange and you like weird and you like crazy, go see this movie. I initially said that it was an 8.5. After sitting on it for a few days, I thought about it. And because of what it is and what it sets up for me, for the Marvel stuff, for the MCU side of things, and I know I'm coming from this at a different angle, but for me, this movie is a 9. I absolutely love it. It's in my top 4 Marvel movies of all time. I couldn't recommend it enough for me. And if you're, I guess the biggest things, if you're a Marvel fan or you're a comic book fan, you're gonna like this movie.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, so my little final overall statement, I agree. If you're a Sam Raimi fan, I think you should definitely watch it to have a good time. It's been like 4 or 5 years since he made a movie, and then that last movie was really bad. I think it was Oz and the Powerful or something. It was a bad movie, but to see him finally back in the fray, I'm excited. Hopefully this like restarts his career a little bit, because like he's kind of like one of the grandfathers of the superhero films with Spidey 1 and 2. I think he really cemented a lot of ideas and stuff that moved the industry forward. And and I think even Spidey 3, that was out of his hands. It was the studio just ruining it all. Yeah. So like I don't even think that's fair to blame it all on him. But for that stuff, I think you'll have a good time. But I would set expectations. And this is something we'll get into the spoilers, but I think a lot of the hate that I'm feeling is the movie was set up almost. I think the trailers gave away too much. And we'll talk about that in the spoilers. 100%. But I would say, don't expect to like get your mind rocked in the way that I think you would assume, because I even think the title is misleading. I think they should have changed the title. I don't think it should have been called The Multiverse of Madness, because I don't think they dig into it as much as I was expecting, just given the hype surrounding it. And I will say I do have some issues with the writing, with Wanda's character, with some of the arcs, the storyline, the pacing, some of the scenes, the CGI. But again, the visuals, I think just the visuals and just seeing, like you said, like this feels like a Doctor Strange movie. Like this, I actually like how it feels like I'm seeing a character's perspective. And there's not many of the Marvel films where I feel like it actually feels like one of their movies. At least for me, like I don't feel it all the time. Like even like with the Eternals and even like Shang-Chi, I really loved, but I don't think it went as deep as it could have gone. Same thing with like Black Widow or Captain Marvel. I think like Thor Ragnarok was the last one where you could feel like, oh, this is Thor's style now.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels like it's from, and that's something I love from the comics is like, you know, when you pick up a comic, it's a different artist and they imbue that vibe and style through each panel. And this film finally feels like, you know, this Sam Raimi is just another staple to the MCU lot of directors who can, even if the movie sucks, if you think it's the worst movie ever, it'll still be visually engaging, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, if you do hate Sam Raimi, then I think you might dislike it.
Oh, yeah, do not go watch this movie.
With all that being said, I think originally I was at a 7 out of 10 because of the story stuff. And I think it's gone down a little more to a 6 out of 10. So I think I'm at a 6 out of 10. But I think in the spoilers, if we discuss it, maybe I'll go back to a 7 because I have some story issues, but maybe it's me just not understanding the placement of stuff. Like I feel like I'm kind of a dumb watcher where I'm like, wait, why did this happen instead of this? And then sometimes talking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the beauty of this. And that's, I mean, you're giving it a 6. I'm giving it a 9. But we're coming at this from two different angles here. And once we get into the spoiler section, that's when, man, this is going to be really fun. So,
yeah. So everyone stick around. If you've already seen the movie, we're about to get into it. And for anyone who hasn't, pause the podcast now because that's going to conclude our review portion of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And while you pause the podcast, don't forget to subscribe or leave a review or comment on what you thought on our takes or the film. And you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or email us at cineverm@yahoo.com. And then be sure to check out our snazzy website, cineverm.com, where we also have written reviews. And speaking of reviews, check out my personal YouTube channel, A Lonely Critic, where I do weekly film reviews by myself. And then also check out the Back Bedroom podcast, where Jeffrey Carroll hangs out and talks about all things fun and great memories. I think he's about to start doing a console series here soon.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot of great stuff to check out from him. And then you can also hear his immediate reactions to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Literally that night. Yep. Coming out of the theater. So go check that out and subscribe to his channel and his podcast.
Yeah, come hang out.
But now, let's get into the spoilers. Okay, so I think... Okay, I want to start with the big thing. Because I think... Okay, well, let's start with the expectations versus what we got.
Okay.
And I think one of the ways to enter this conversation is, I guess, did you feel like, I think it all starts with the trailer. Like, do you think the trailer kind of set up the wrong expectations?
Yes and yes, because the trailer, one, the trailer showed too much. They shouldn't have showed as much as they did. And two, the trailer... Now, here's the thing. So, I don't know where to lay a lot of this blame. I will say the trailer did make it. It gave you the impression that you were going to get all these variants and you were going to get all this craziness just rapid fire nonstop. Now, to also piggyback on that, there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 100 verified people on Twitter, Instagram, and these people are really big. I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to give them any extra publicity or anything like that. But these are people that are plugged in, and these are people that make a lot of money to get on YouTube and Twitter and say their takes and shit like that. And these people who are plugged in, who get all this inside information, are spitting out stuff about how there's 240 cameos and there's going to be 150 variants shown and da 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 da. And here's the thing, like when you start throwing all that out, you start getting people hyped for something, and you know it's not true. And then when this movie comes out, now Sam Raimi and everyone else is catching shit because they didn't put in the 240 cameos, but there was never going to be 240 cameos. So, I think the trailers definitely set a weird expectation, but so did a lot of other people, like a lot of very influential influencers set a really weird, and people that leak movie scripts and leak all this information, like, they set this really weird precedent for this movie, that I don't think this movie was ever meant, like, this movie was never going to reach that potential, but yet, you know, but now it's getting shit on because it didn't do all that stuff.
Yeah, I feel that a lot. I think because, like, honestly, all that stuff started before even the first trailer really came out.
Yeah.
And I think where Disney kind of fucked up is, like, you see that. Like, there's no way they don't have people, you know, checking the discourse, you know, what's chattering. And because I know they're smart enough to be like, all right, let's not feed into that. So let's not show that because it'll feed into their ideas and their fantasies. And I think the fact that the first, like, big trailer had, you know, basically confirming Professor X and then showing like, honestly, all that stuff, I think that shouldn't have been in the trailers at all.
Yeah,
like,
no.
And honestly, I think it even starts before all this, because famously this movie, and you might know more about this, so please clarify, but this movie was supposed to come out before No Way Home.
Yeah.
And
they pushed it
you know,
up.
this had a different director and writer, Scott Derrickson, and his screenwriter, and, you know, they dropped, which is normal. They have a lot of drops or whatever, but I feel like they should have changed, because from my understanding, they rewrote the whole film because they weren't going to use their old script, and supposedly that was more like horror focused, or more like it wasn't really into the whole multiverse thing or something. Right. I think they should have, when they changed directors and changed scripts, I think I don't think they should have named this movie Multiverse of Madness, because I feel like they're kind of setting up the expectations that they're going to blow their load, but we all know the blowing of the load of multiverses is Secret Wars, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, why would you even put multiverse in the title? You know, it's like Loki. Loki is not Loki in the time variance, you know, because that would set up, oh, we're going to jump around forever and infinite.
Yeah.
But, like, once you start putting that in the title, and once people are like, okay, this is the multiverse Marvel movie.
This is it.
We're finally cracking it open. We did enter the multiverse, but I don't think the focus of this movie was even the multiverse.
No,
like,
it wasn't.
I think it's like, it'd be like saying, like, I'm trying to think of another Marvel movie that set something up. Wait, it's like saying the Guardians of the Galaxy set up Thanos. You know, like, there was a lot of Thanos in it, but it wasn't setting up, you know, the core of the Infinity War.
Right.
Like, because that happened throughout all the films. And I think that's what this is doing with Secret Wars, from my, you know, non-intellectual mind. But I think the title, the trailer, and feeding into the fans, I think really it shot themselves in the foot in that way.
I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, and again, there's so much, like, it's just a big pot, and there's a lot of reasons why I think, like, the title, like, this wasn't very the multiverse stuff it did do, I get, but, like, and then again, there were a lot of, like, some of these people are big time, like, they're verified, like, they're brought in to these and their whole existence online is to talk about these movies, and it's not just Marvel. Like, 2 or 3 of these people do, like, a lot of big movies, like, they got information on, like, every movie that comes out. But, like, again, for them to get this quote unquote info to come out and say, you know, all this is going to happen, it's multiverse craziness, it's all this, like, this movie got turned into something that again, it couldn't reach. And I mean, it's no fault to the people directly involved with this movie. I think everything else around it blew it up. And, you know, like, even going in, and I think I've expressed this to you, like, I was never one for a ton of like, that was my whole fear, right, going into this movie was, man, don't give me a lot of variance. I don't want everything going forward to be because of the multiverse, to be because of a variant, or to be because of that. And so, again, for me, I think that's why this movie knocks it out of the park, because to me, not only does it does dabble with the multiverse and everything and shows you the power of it, but at the same time, I feel like it also kind of showed you, hey, we got a lot of stuff going on, and we don't have to use this multiverse thing for everything. So, yes, I agree with you 100% that I think a lot of extra crap, turn this thing into something that it can never become. And unfortunately, reviews and scores and stuff like that are reflecting it. I hate that, for Raimi and for Cumberbatch and Olsen and all them, but it is what it is. But the Marvel fans and stuff, at least they're still going to enjoy it.
Yeah. And then what's crazy is like this is the third lowest. There's a thing called Cinema Score that like kind of tracks.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's audience scores and critics. It's like it's whatever the studios.
It's like the
normally
compiled
use.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is like a B. I think it's just a B. And their lowest is like a B minus, which was Eternals, and then the Thor, the Dark World.
It was Dark World. But there was something else I got sent, and it's Eternals, it's this movie, and it's Shang-Chi, and it's something with like some other like sales figures and some other review and scores and stuff like that. And those are the three lowest. But what's also crazy is those three are also the ones that took the biggest chance with their direction and with the style and breaking away from the MCU formula. So you see, this goes back to the beginning of our conversation of all you do is the same thing. It's cookie cutter. It's the same thing every month. It's the same Marvel movie. But then the three that do take the biggest chances and the three that do break away from that formula, they get shit on because they're not the formula. And so it just shows, like you mentioned earlier, you're never going to win with everybody.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is just be true to yourself and make what you can make. So
yeah. And then one final thing about the expectation thing that I found was weird, and we talked about this earlier in the week. Was there was that interview with Kevin Feige, and like I've been having an issue with new Disney leadership since damn, I just forgot it. Bob Iger left.
Iger.
Yeah. Like how they've been treating Pixar has been very strange because like there's some studios that you think would just have carte blanche and they could just do whatever they want.
Right.
I think Pixar and I think Marvel are like the top two in the world. Like they should be allowed to do whatever because they just know what they're doing. Like why would you even? Don't even look at their shit. Like just give them a blank check and then cash the check when it comes back around. And I think that it was just very telling and strange. And like I think it was at the premiere of this film, he was talking about that there was things in the trailers that he didn't like, and that's basically saying that he didn't get final cut of the trailer.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you about that. Like, do you feel like anything weird has been going on since this new guy took over? Like, do you feel like I don't know, like anything's being like morphed into something it's not, or do you feel like the marketing or anything like that is weird or strange? Because for the Pixar thing, for me personally, there's a film called Turning Red that was coming out, and I was really excited for it. It was the first female-directed Pixar film, first Asian-directed Pixar film.
Yep.
I loved it. It's
really
like one of my
movie.
favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, we watched it.
And like it just got dropped on Disney Plus, like no real marketing, no real promotion. I didn't even know it came out, and I literally follow movies all day. Yeah. And no theatrical. Luca was another one that did the same.
Yep.
People probably don't even know that's a Pixar movie.
Yep.
And same thing with Soul. And then now, all of a sudden, with Lightyear, that one's coming out on fucking IMAX.
Oh, it's everywhere.
And I'm like, it's just kind of weird how that lines up. And I don't know. I was going to ask you, and like honestly, I feel like the same thing happened with Black Widow. Like I think that was such a strange debacle where it didn't
pushed.
Make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems like, because I know this new guy, he's not very open, he's not very transparent, he doesn't talk to a lot of people. Like Bob Iger was always communicating his ideas out in interviews, with his like meetings. Like it was very open that he was a collaborator and he was focused on the arts and like working with people. And I don't know, since this new guy's come in, like I've just noticed like Disney doing stuff that like it makes business sense, but then I'm like, that's not how you got to where you are. Like Marvel was a risk. Like Iron Man, who would have ever thought Iron Man would have done good?
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely been different for sure. Something's definitely up, and But at the same time, like for me being a Marvel fan, I just have to say, hey, and Feige I trust because I assume that he's going to be able to get it together. But he was very unhappy with how a lot of things lined up for this movie. So maybe some things got away from him for this movie because I guess you're coming off the COVID and everything else, and a lot of things were jostled around because then you lost Derrickson, you picked up Raimi and all this other crap. So maybe whatever. So maybe he'll right the ship, kind of going forward. But yeah, I know that he was very unhappy with it. So maybe that's what we needed. Maybe that's why he was public with it the other day, because Feige's not someone who you see publicly saying stuff like that. So maybe he said that publicly for a reason to get some attention, and draw attention to it. So hopefully it does get adjusted because something was up, and it's hard for me to say because I mean, hell, we just got the Thor trailer 2 weeks ago. I mean, that movie was 70 days until release, and we just got the first, not even first trailer, the first teaser for it. So
yeah,
everything's weird, but whatever.
And that's something I'm excited about is that I think the Thor film is going to skyrocket. Like, I think it's going to perform. I think it's going to outperform Doctor Strange. I think people are going to have a great time because no one's going to have the wild expectations this film had that I think were, kind of inappropriate. And I think that movie's really going to bump off of that, because no one's going to come in thinking we're going to see 50 Thors.
If that all that bullshit wasn't to come out for this movie, I think the reaction to it would be a lot better because this movie is, for what it talks about and handles, this movie is huge in the scope of things, but people aren't going to see that because they just want to shit on it.
Yeah. So let's get into the actual hugeness of this. So what?
It's massive.
I guess let's. I don't even know where to start, dude. So I guess let's start with. I guess let me get your opinions of more specifically the Illuminati aspect. Okay, so actually I want to get into one other complaint that I had with the film before we get into all the massive stuff. I think I wasn't coming into this movie expecting multiverse everything, but I was expecting a chase. Honestly, I was thinking, all right, we're going to get we all kind of knew Wanda was the villain. We're going to get Wanda as a crazy villain. And I honestly thought once they started introducing the night walking, sleepwalking thing, I thought we were going to jump into multiple multiverses, not 1,000 or whatever, but I thought it was going to be we're escaping her by jumping through different multiverses. And then we would see Reed Richards, because that happened it felt like it kind of happened really quick that we were in the Illuminati's verse, where I thought that was going to be towards the end of the movie. And that was right smack dab, right before the middle, it felt like.
Right.
And then when they were all dispensed so quickly, I was like, oh, okay, they're going to go into a different version. And then that version's going to be a little more smart. And then maybe we actually see a fight or something. But then it just kind of dropped all that completely. And then I felt really disappointed. Wait, that? And I think it was maybe the trailer where it's if you're going to show that much of the Illuminati, then there has to be way more. But what they showed was all that was in the film without the death scenes, essentially.
I guess it's kind of cool that they didn't go multiverse hopping, because I think they try to look at it from and I know what I'm about to say, it's going to make no sense, but just give me a second, people. What they try to do is they try to come at it from a logical way of thinking, okay, when you're talking about multiverse, if they were to go hopping multiverses and she's just following them and she's just axing every set of Illuminati she comes across, then you're going through all these universes and you're taking out the biggest of the bigs, in one movie within 15 seconds. So they try to look at it from what I'm trying to say is they try to look at it from okay, if we did this, it would screw up so much at one time. So I get why they didn't do all that. But yeah, at the same time, man.
Or honestly, here's my complaint. Okay, so this movie sets up that this group of Illuminatis, Strange, Black Bolt, Professor X, Mr. Fantastic.
Yep.
Gosh,
Captain
I'm forgetting
Marvel
names.
and
Captain
Peggy,
Marvel.
and
Captain
Peggy Carter.
So that in this multiverse, that's the Avengers, right? Like this is the Avengers for this universe.
No,
and
that's the Illuminati.
They actually, the Illuminati. But I'm saying like that's the group defending Earth. And like they kind of set them up as way better than our what we had in the MCU proper, because I mean Thanos won essentially, and then we had to go through a snap and they stopped them on Titan. It'd be like an Infinity War. They actually got the gauntlet off. So that would be a whole different movie. And I just struggle to think of a crew this capable who defeated Thanos in that moment, where ours took a whole nother fucking 5 years to even get to that point. Like, why wouldn't they take Wanda serious? Like, there's a really
cool, well thought out and well written post about this exact thing on Reddit right now, on like the Marvel Studios subreddit. And so here's the thing. So the Illuminati is a group. It's the best of all of our groups in one group to make the decisions. It's like one collective mind. So instead of having like the Avengers wanting to do one thing, the X-Men wanting to do one thing, the Guardians wanting to do one thing, and just like how our Avengers were when we were fighting Thanos, right? You had some of them on Titan, you had some of them in Wakanda, you had some of them here. So they formed the Illuminati to make one decision to trump all other decisions. So that multiverse, like their other Avengers and stuff, like they all fought Thanos, right? And they killed him. And so, okay. And so in their, all right. So, and I'm about to go, this is about to be a really long way to answer your question. All right. And so in this movie, we saw the Ultron bots, right? Well, those that isn't evil Ultron. This universe, those Ultron bots were created by Reed Richards, who's smarter than Tony Stark is. So those Ultron bots don't have that defectiveness in them like our version that we saw that wanted to kill everybody. These are actually well thought out, which means Age of Ultron did not happen in that universe, which means Wanda is not the same Wanda that she is on our universe. Our Wanda is all powerful. Look what she's already been through. Age of Ultron, fighting Thanos, getting the Mind Stone, being exposed to the Mind Stone, from Vision, all this other shit, right? Well, their universe's Wanda didn't go through all that. So that's why when Strange showed up and was like, hey, Wanda is coming, you better get ready. That's why all of them were like, who? Wanda Maximoff? We don't care. We'll handle her. They were all downplaying how strong our Wanda was. They were all comparing her to their Wanda, which power levels completely different. So, all that being said, that's why, she was able to just come in and wipe the floor with them, because they're all thinking, okay, and again, this dude, I'll have to find it and link it to you because it's a really long read. Like, this dude broke it down in a really smart way that if you go back and think about it, it's like, okay, that makes a lot of fucking sense. But if you were to put that into a movie, you would add like 4 extra hours to the movie. So,
okay. So I have a counter argument towards that. Because I may be wrong, but Professor X, can he or can he not read minds? Like, can't he go into someone's mind and experience their experiences?
Yeah, that's where he was at with Wanda, right?
So, if this Dr. Strange shows up, you're in the Illuminati. He's saying, Wanda, like, I'm literally here. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm running away from Wanda. That's already a freak incident, right? And you already know how capable Strange is because you literally had to kill him because he fucking went psycho. So if there's another Strange in front of you, your immediate assumption would be he has the potential to go psycho and destroy everything.
Which is why you don't trust him. Right, which is why you don't trust him.
So why wouldn't, I wanted Professor X to immediately go into his mind and then be like, we need to prepare. What he's saying is true. And I kind of got it because he trusts him when no one else does. But I don't know why we didn't see that. That's a power that we've seen.
I think Professor X did. None of the other Illuminati did. I think Professor X did exactly what you're talking about. He did read Wanda's mind. He did go into to that, and he saw what he was dealing with. He was just the last one. The other ones all rushed in thinking, okay, this is just Wanda Maximoff, no big deal, and they got slapped. And then I think Professor X did exactly what you're saying, but it was already too late. Like, Professor X, like, yeah, he can do all that, his telepathic and all that other stuff that he can do, but even in the comics and every time else, like, Professor X wants to just, he just wants to, okay, I trust you. Like, he doesn't want to use his powers all the time for, like, as soon as he walks in, go into someone's brain. So I think in a way he did do that, but I mean, and I get it. Like, this is the one thing that, like, everybody's been talking about. Like, why did Reed Richards come out here and tell Wanda Black Bolt? Like, this is the big gripe for everybody. And I get it. Like, I thought it was cool as hell. I didn't have a problem with it, but I get why others do. And I'm telling you, I will find this dude's write-up and I will send it to you, because I promise you, after reading it, you're going to be like, oh yeah, shit, that makes a lot of sense. Like, they just didn't think, like, the Wanda Maximoff that universe knows, like, their Wanda Maximoff is not the Wanda that we know. And with Dr. Strange showing up, you already know he's the cause of, like, the end of the universe. So if a new Doctor Strange shows up, like, how much trust are you going to have in this dude? Like, if he walks in and he's talking about, oh, Wanda is chasing me, blah, 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 you're going to be like, yeah, right, whatever. Like, we just had to kill you because you're ruining the universe, you know?
But on that same token, if we just had to kill you because you ruined the universe, a new you shows up claiming another thing is scaring you and you're running away from it, wouldn't you immediately, like, press all code reds and, like, everyone activate? Because there's a Strange here. We don't know what the fuck he's talking about, Wanda. But, you know, it could also be, like, a trap. You know how, like, Loki always fucking connives and, like, oh, you know, this is happening, but in reality he's going to backstab you. Like,
yeah.
I think even if I read that, I would be disappointed. But even beyond that, I think the true disappointment isn't that, like, kind of, like, backwards thinking that you have to, well, not backwards thinking, but, like, the way it makes you kind of pause. I think the true disappointment is we don't get, like, a real fight with all these characters. And, like, this is where I wish the Russos would just be the consultants for every fight. Because if you watch The Winter Soldier, if you watch Civil War, if you watch Infinity War, if you watch Endgame, every single fight scene, even when the powers don't match, like, we literally had like a 10-minute fight on Titan with Thanos and what was, like, Iron Man, Spider-Man. You know, he had all the Guardians who have, like, no power really, and those two guys made it be exciting and thrilling, and they know how to work powers in a way that doesn't depower anyone, but it also shows the cunning of these heroes. And I think that's what the comics do, because that's what they have to do. You know, like, you have to have, if you have Wanda fight someone, it has to be an interesting fight. It can't just be she unravels them. Like, I get that's her power, and, like, but I also think, like, you're robbing us of a cool fight, you know, like, of an experience where, I don't know, like, I think there'd be a better way to, like, for her to dispatch of them. Like, I think she does a great job with Peggy. Like, I think that kill was the only satisfying kill that I actually felt, because you saw Peggy, like, do what, you know, Cap does, you know, like, I don't quit, and, like, you literally have to kill me until I stop, like, physically. Yeah. And I think, like, what if we could have seen, you know, like, I still wanted all of them to die, but, like, I wanted to see them at least have their, like, shining moment, you know, like, in Civil War, like, when Black Panther catches the shield, like, that is, like, even if he were to lose that fight, you're like, I got my fucking moment, though, you know. And I think, I don't know.
I guess,
so, that's the big disappointment for me. It's not even the plot holes aspect or the logic. I didn't feel satisfied with these guys who have defeated Thanos. Like, it's more of an emotional, like, they should have put up a fight. Like, I know Wanda's all powerful, but, like, come on, Thanos was also all powerful when he had all stones, and we still got 5 minutes of him wrecking everyone, walking down a forest, it felt awesome, you know?
And see, that's the weirdness of it, because, like, I'm perfectly fine with, like, our Wanda is untouchable. Our Wanda, even when Thanos had all the stones, our Wanda was about to kill him. If he doesn't call the bombardment down, our Wanda, with all stones, with the fucking dual blade, with everything else he had, our Wanda had him. Like, our Wanda was going to destroy Thanos. There was not going to be there wasn't going to be a fight in Endgame. Wanda was about to kill him. Wanda is untouchable if she wants to be. And so to me, like, I didn't mind that at all. Like, our Wanda is supposed to walk in and just, like, thump these people out of the way. Like, to me, I thought it was fantastic. Like, that to me is a comic book. Like, the comic book isn't going to show the back and forth. The comic book, when there's a power level discrepancy, that shit's going to be 2 panels and that's it. Like, it's going to be, I'm stronger than you. Get out of my way. Like, I am Wanda Maximoff and you're kind of in my way. Get out of, move out of the way. So for me, like, that didn't bother me at all. Like, I thought that was one of the cooler parts of the entire movie, was her showing, like, you're not worried about your Wanda Maximoff, but I am the Scarlet Witch. I'm not Wanda Maximoff. I am the Scarlet Witch. Get out of my way. So that, to me, again, like, I feel like that was just straight comic book for me. So I really enjoyed all of that. I mean, there were, there are issues I could find with that whole thing. With the way they kind of, I don't want to say set up, but did all that. But yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, because I know it makes it look one way, right? Because that Illuminati's talking about how they helped defeat Thanos and da-da-da-da-da, and then they come out and Wanda,
and we get that,
cakes walk through them.
That dope scene of, like, we see their Doctor Strange die. Like, that's one of my favorite moments of the movie, and I was like, whoa, this feels like, when you tell me about alternate, like, what happened in the comics versus what happened in the movie. Like, you tell me, like, what happened in the original Infinity Gauntlet run. Yeah. Like, I'm imagining that, like, a kid, and this, like, little flashback felt like what I imagine when you tell me, like, well, in the comics this happens, and I imagine that version, and it's exciting and, like, weird and different. Like, seeing Black Bolt say, "I'm sorry," and just him being wiped off the like. I was like, dude, I feel like a fucking kid.
He didn't even say it. Like, he just whispered it. But that's why I've always kind of brought up to you, like, that's him. Like, he whispers and it will wipe out half the universe. That was so cool. Yeah.
God. So I think that kind of, like, when I saw that, and then, like, oh, they're about to fight, and, like, I like all the deaths. I just wish there was some play. Like, and I think they kind of, I think you could have set it up to where Wanda is more, like, when you're that OP, like, wouldn't you have fun with some people? Like, I love the comment that she makes to him, where she's like, you have a wife, or like, your kids have a mother, right? Because they'll have someone to take care of them when you're gone. Like, I wish they would have fought a little bit, and then, they all think they're winning, and then she would have said that line, and then she does all the kill shots that she does. Yeah. Like, that's kind of what I want. I think you could have had your cake and eat it. Because, like, she does it in the beginning where she's like, I'm being reasonable.
Yeah, this is
me
whatever. Being reasonable, yeah.
But it's all the kill shots were amazing, though. Like, I didn't dislike them. Yeah, like, how oh my God. Bolt went out with his fucking...
every one of those deaths were so fucking awesome. Like, Bolt blowing his own head off, and then, Reed going noodle, which, like, again, all this stuff's just pulled straight out of the comics, so it's just so cool to see. And then Cap, Peggy Carter she got the Green Goblin treatment, right? Because that's what he did to Green Goblin in the Spider-Man, cut in half and the blood's dripping off of it. Like, it was so perfect. And then supposedly, they've gone through and slowed down the Professor X death, and it looks like she comes up and snaps his neck, right?
Yeah.
No. She grabs his head and rips his head off from his top jaw up. She does not snap his neck. She rips his fucking head off. And someone posted that on Reddit as well. Like, they've gone through and slowed that down, and I was like, oh yeah. The post was like something like, hey, so that snap neck, and then you click it, and like his top jaw up is getting peeled back, and I'm like, what?
Wow.
So yeah, that was a lot more brutal than anything. So I mean, I totally get the the knocks and the disappointments with it. But I with some comic, for me again, like for me, I was like, man, this is so cool because she's barefoot, just sleepwalking and handling these folks. Like, I don't know. To me, I think I love to see when someone's more powerful. I want to see that. Like, I like to see that you were nothing to me type thing. Like, I love that. Yeah. And that's, like, give me Doom because that's his entire attitude. Like, I'm better than you.
Just kill shots.
Yeah, and that's what I love. So
it's fatalities.
Yeah, all the time. Just straight fatality all the time.
Oh my God. I think, you know what? It's interesting because I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, and in Dragon Ball Z we get 10 hours of fucking chit chats and fireside talks before they even lay hands on each other. And then like I remember now I'm thinking back on your Twitter like a couple days ago, you shared the Dr. Doom ripping Thanos' spine out of his body. Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's your childhood.
It. Yeah, that's it.
And mine is, a fucking 3-hour conversation about why this fight matters.
Yeah, but and that's, oh man. Well, hey, but that's the fucking beauty of it, is that like I can still get my, that part of it for me, and there could still be moments where they explain why, this is all happening. So then you're fulfilled, I'm fulfilled, and it's all a good time. And God, I can't wait till we get God Doom.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God. Okay,
so even shared in the panel, and I know this has nothing to do with Doctor Strange, but he says, I was a god once, but it was beneath me. That's his mentality. Being a god to Victor Von Doom is beneath him. He thinks he's greater than all of that. So that's just the kind of person he is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, we'll have to get into that here in a second. One thing I want to get into is I want to get into the what do I want to get into? Okay, so the powers of, because this is another mini issue I had, and this feels like, because from my understanding, America Chavez was supposed to be in No Way Home. She was supposed to open the portal that Ned opens to the other Spideys. Supposedly that's like what the original draft was, because this was supposed to come out before Spidey, and obviously that all got changed and rearranged. And then like I felt there was something weird going on with the whole America Chavez aspect of the movie for me, where like there's like a part early in the movie, and this is where like my writer brain was like freaking out, because I'm like, oh no, don't do this. Like this is the worst way to do it, which is, they're walking into the new universe, and then they're like, they were like talking about, what were they? They were talking about the new universe, and then they essentially are like stepping onto this little thing or whatever, and they're showing like their memories playback. And just me as a writer, dude, I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's not, I mean, honestly, it felt lazy to where we're just seeing, like all this backstory just play out in a couple minutes. And like, I like the backstory. I just think, why was it played like that? And then like with her and then her mom's, and then the whole teleportation thing, and then her getting bit by a bee, and like that being her like cue to like teleport. I just had a lot of issues with her actual like teleportation, and then leading into the whole like finale of that, or like her whole character payoff is that she learns at the end that she can, struggle through and like do portals. I don't know. That whole aspect rubbed me kind of the wrong way, because I was like, why? Like there should have been a scene where Doctor Strange was like, well, I just saw your memory. You got stung by a bee. I can literally just sting you with a needle and then we'll teleport or something. Like I could scare you and then we could teleport. So I don't know. What did you think about all the America Chavez stuff?
Yeah, she's her character. So she's a newer character. Like, well, I don't want to upset some big America Chavez fans or anything out there, but she is a newer character. That got put into the comics with the kind of new wave of Young Avengers and all that stuff. So yeah, I could totally see where she, like, that was supposed to be a part of No Way Home. And that's something I've read a lot recently, was how Doctor Strange, and I know you and me talked about this, but I thought the portrayal of Doctor Strange in No Way Home was a little off. Like, I know I mentioned that a few times, but so, yeah. And that, And so that kind of ties into all this, saying that to show that this movie was supposed to be before No Way Home, because I guess Doctor Strange in No Way Home was more, just kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll do whatever, because he's already been through all this. But anyways, with Chavez, it's, again, like, she's not one that I have a lot of history or knowledge on, because I didn't read a lot of like Young Avengers and New Avengers and stuff. That just never clicked with me. So I didn't have like strong feelings one way or another with her. But I did think they showed her powers really well. Like, I thought the punch to open the portals and everything was really cool. And I know to show the two mothers, like, I know that's riled some people up, of course. Because, why is that even shown? Like, what does that add to the movie or whatever? But, it's, people are going to complain about anything and everything. Yeah. So, again, oh, go ahead.
I think, so, like, the specific problem I have is just, it's, like, I love her character and the idea of her character, and, like you were saying, the powers, like, the star shape, the way the portals look with the stars and like it's all crusty and stuff, that was probably some of the best CGI in the movie was when the portals opened.
Yeah,
like,
when the portals opened.
It was such a cool shape. Yeah, and but my problem is just like I guess it's a logic thing. Like, writing, you have this person who can't control their like, we've seen that in other movies where it's like, I don't know how to control my powers or whatever. And then, like, normally what happens is that we get many freak out moments where their powers are, going haywire. In this movie, we didn't get that, and I found that very weird, especially when she's in, like, danger a lot, and it doesn't happen. It just feels like a weird like, it feels like a writer writing what he wants, where I think, like, if I was writing it, I would have to make her go through a portal when I didn't want her to. Like, leaving Strange, and then Strange is like, fuck, I'm here with Wanda, and then maybe Wanda's body drops, and then you're like, she's in a different one, like, she's already found her, and then him trying to figure out, how do I get her back? Like I feel like that was a perfect setup. It's kind of like like Terminator 2. You have a child you have to protect, and then an unstoppable force, and I think the child you have to protect can fucking teleport into Pasta Land at any point. Like, I think that is just a cool idea and dynamic, and I don't think they really used it. And then I just hate that it's just like, I don't know how to use my powers, like your typical, like, weak child kind of idea. And then conveniently at the end, she figures out just by, Doctor Strange winking at her or something. Like, I just thought that was like, it was like underwritten. Like, I felt like her character was just a plot device where you could have used her to add like a shit ton of excitement. Like, that's a perfect character to have in this situation. And I don't know. I just felt like disappointed in it, I guess.
Yeah, she's again, like, I'm kind of with you on a lot of that. I thought she was, like, done.
Did you buy that?
Cool,
did you buy?
I don't know. Hopefully she does show back up. To me, like, in this movie, she felt real. I don't know. It's kind of weird because I guess the movie's based around her or based on her for the most part, but and I say that even though it's a Doctor Strange movie, right? Because she's at the beginning, she's shown, and she's such an important part of all this different stuff, and traveling the multiverses. But it's almost like she was like I would forget about her like during the movie, like, completely.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I was like, wait a minute, she's kind of the key to all this, and Wanda's wanting her powers and da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
But like that, like, there were moments where I was like, this movie could have been done even without America Chavez. Like, they didn't need, like, I don't know. It's weird because, again, I think she was cool. Her powers, like the way she does everything, what they did do with her was cool. But at the same time, man, if she wasn't in the movie, like, I don't think it would have. I don't think I would have noticed much, or I don't think it would have changed much. For me, at least.
Yeah.
And again, I know that there were probably some massive America Chavez fans out there who, were like, "Are you kidding me? She did X, Y, and Z." And I was like, "Okay, I get it," but
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I think they would still be disappointed because she didn't get to do her thing. Like, she was just used when the story needed it. She wasn't her own character in any way. I don't feel like yeah. But speaking off of that, so let's get into the Wanda thing. So coming off WandaVision, you know, I understand at the end of that she gets a hold of the Darkhold. I think that's what the book's called.
Right.
And like, I get that book makes you evil.
Right.
Or like, because we see that with Doctor Strange, and I guess that's my big plot hole for her character is like, why didn't we get her losing her shit? Like, I feel like we never actually go into her head and like her reasoning of willing to like just slaughter people, because even in WandaVision, she's constantly reiterating like, I'm not killing anyone. I'm just puppeting them, you know? And like that becomes a very big part. And then when she becomes conscious that, oh, you know, I am kind of being a fucking crazy person right now, she does stop. And like that's one of her traits. So in this movie, I was like really just like, wait, why? And like I know a lot of people are just saying, well, the Darkhold does that to you. And like I get that, but like we didn't see that. And then it's so weird because we see it when Doctor Strange gets it, all those fucking demons flying around and shit. Like, why didn't the movie just start cold open with Wanda reading the book and then demons circling around her and then just seeing her kids die over and over, you know, like something traumatizing.
Yeah.
To where she's, you know, and then we're in her character's head and then we're like, we get it. There is no other option, you know? And I don't know. What did you think about that? Like, do you feel any sort of way from that Wanda stuff? Like,
yeah, I mean,
how her...
I guess they wanted to keep kind of the mental like aspect of it, where like during the show she was just completely broken mentally, and that's why she was doing what she was doing. You know, which led to her going through the Darkhold and dealing with the chaos magic and all that stuff. Well, here the difference is like, and this is just me being a comic book person. So like when Doctor Strange gets a hold of it, Doctor Strange is he's not meant to, right? He's like just a normal sorcerer supreme who's bringing in Chthon and all this darkness. Well, Wanda she works with chaos magic, and so she can handle it better, I guess, is more the way I'm going with it. Like, I know that like it just makes her more powerful. Like, she just can, it's like she can wield it better, right? Whereas Doctor Strange is like, you're seeing more of like what it cost a person to wield it. Like, and that's why they kept saying like, you know, it's gonna take its toll. Like like if you mess with this, Steven, it's gonna be bad. Like, it's gonna take a toll on you. And he knew that, you know, that was just the cost. Well, with Wanda's kind of built for it. So like that toll doesn't come out of her as much because she can be the Scarlet Witch. Like, that is her. Like, the Scarlet Witch is within chaos. It's in touch with chaos magic, you know, and that's why everybody wants her so much. And which, you know, if you go back all the way to Civil War, Tony, you know, kept saying, you know, she is a walking nuclear bomb. Like, she is a weapon of mass destruction. She just doesn't realize how powerful she is yet. Now, there's been a lot of conversation since this movie come out. Did maybe they kind of had some sense of what she could do? Like, I don't think they had any idea that she could be as powerful as she is, but maybe there was something that led some of them to believe she was, you know, a lot worse. It can be a lot worse than what she had been up to that point. So with Doctor Strange, it was cool to see. I think it was just kind of like that. So you saw her break down mentally throughout the show and into this movie, whereas Doctor Strange starts doing it, and you saw him essentially break down physically, right? You see the toll it takes on a normal body to wield the Darkhold. Like, you've got demons pulling you apart. You got demons, they're trying to take you down into hell, and then boom, his third eye's opened up, and it's about to get really, really, really crazy. So I was fine with the way it was done. Again, you know, and that's the difference, though. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're watching this and you're seeing all this from this point of view, from writing point of view, from this, And in my head, I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, so that's so this comic run, okay, so that's like, okay. You see what I'm saying? Like, to me, like, it's and that's what makes it so cool.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, so, well, like, actually, that actually makes me a little more upset because I was assuming what happened to Strange is what happened to Wanda when she got a hold of the book. But what you're saying is that not at all. Like, she is fully still a conscious being. She's not being ripped apart by demons. She's just like, that is just another layer of her power that she was always going to get.
She has her demons, I guess, to use the, she has her. I'm not saying that like she's not. Yeah, I'm not saying she's not affected in that way. It's just that she can just handle it better. Like, she can.
Yeah.
That is her magic. That is her magic of choice. Like, chaos magic is what she uses. So it's, for Dr. Strange, where he's doing like incantations and fucking like, hand shields all the time, and stuff. She is literally in tune with this book. Like, she is always in tune with that realm of sorcery, whereas Steven, again, he's a normal dude who learned how to cast these spells. And if you notice, and that's what's so cool about this one, is they really show it in this movie how he's essentially opening portals type things to let the magic come through. Like, he's calling on this magic from other parts of the universe. Like, this isn't his magic, but like, it shows it really well in that first fight scene. Like, he calls upon this magic, so it takes a toll on his body. Like, every time he uses this stuff, it takes a toll on his body. And I think more anything in the movie with the demons and everything, I think, and to me, and maybe I'm just like overanalyzing this, and so we see the demons, we see all that, right? We see him, like, his body, it's almost like he's having a seizure, right? And Christine Palmer's like, oh my God, he's so hot. And then all of a sudden, he's in the zombie body. And I know it was because he was sleepwalking using that body, but at the same time, isn't that such a cool parallel to show, like, no, this, like, to me, it's almost like saying, no, this is his body breaking down to use this magic. Like, this is what our Stephen Strange is going to look like if he keeps using this. So just, like, really cool. In the comics, they expand on this a lot, that his body takes a toll for using this magic, calling on this magic all the time. Like, normal food doesn't fill him anymore. Like, it's, I think in the run, and I think Jason Aaron's Doctor Strange run, when he eats normal food, it literally just turns to ash in his mouth because it doesn't, like, his body has gone through so much trauma to keep using all this magic. Like, normal food doesn't do anything for him. He has to eat like real nasty, like, bizarre shit that he gets from like a God knows where, just to give him enough energy to be able to keep using this magic. So to me, I thought it was just a cool way to show, like, no, this is just what it cost him to use this.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so I love how we see that. So let's get into Strange, and I'll come back around to the Wanda stuff, because like this whole part of the film is like 10 out of 10 for me. Yeah. Like, as soon as he gets the Darkhold and he's fucking, like, I wanted a little more, but like him spazzing on the ground, him being like 1,000 degrees, scorching hot, him like fucking just seizing up, like, and just his body losing control. Like, it felt like we were about to watch like The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And he was about to, like, his head was about to like spin and shit. Like, I wish they would have gone that far. And I feel like maybe they did shoot some of that and they just cut it out, because when we go into Zombie Strange, I love that whole prosthetic. Like, I love how he looks. I love how they actually did a prosthetic, because, I mean, they could have done the CGI to make it look realistic.
Yeah.
I like how it's not. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people actually complain about that. Like, as soon as he's Zombie Strange, it's just a stupid movie. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking cool. Like, it's fun. It's funny. It felt like it's obvious. Like, he's in a dead body.
Yeah.
Like, this, we've crossed the realm of reality. He's sleepwalking in a corpse.
Yeah.
And I love how the corpse is actually like breaking apart throughout the fight. Like his limbs are just falling off, and his like mouth is all like cracked open.
Yeah.
And I love how he's just like excited and happy because he's just having a great time. You know, he's like, I gotta fucking do this. Like, you would be excited if you could control another fucking body, and like, you know, if this body dies, you're still good. You know, like I think that it'd be like playing like, you know, Call of Duty or Apex or something. You know, like you're just fucking going to town. Tank mode or whatever.
Yeah.
So I loved all that stuff, and I love the demon sequence where like all these demons are like ripping them apart, and they're like screaming at him.
Yeah.
And oh my god, dude, just seeing that, because it's interesting, the expectations from the trailer. I thought R. Strange was gonna fight a zombie Strange.
Yeah.
So when it clicked in my mind that zombie Strange is the protagonist now.
Yeah.
Dude, I got so fucking giddy. I was like, I did not know I would watch a whole fucking movie of this corpse Strange trying to fix shit, because that's all he can do. Oh man. So I loved all, and like how all the CGI and that stuff was amazing. Like the way the demons looked, the way he used them as like bat wings, where he's like flopping all the way down to the dark hold area or whatever. That was fucking awesome. Oh my god, dude, I loved all that stuff. Even like the simple stuff, like when he's starting the incantations and all the candles are just like moving.
They all move.
And you can tell that was all done like practically. Like there was just strings that people were pulling.
Yeah.
Loved all that, man. Like that's something like I know we've gotten a lot of Doctor Strange casting magic and stuff, but it's never felt like tangible. It's always like CGI, like him doing his little orange wispy thingies or whatever. Like I loved how in this movie we actually saw him sit down with a book and like him actually manipulate an environment with like real props.
Yeah.
Like it felt like the beginning of a horror film in like awesome ways, man.
Yeah. We got to see him kind of do just what he does. Like he's smart enough to open this book up, you know, turn a couple of pages and say, all right, so this is what I got to do. So now I'm going to skim through it. Boom, he's floating, the candles come in. Yeah, I love it. When the zombie, he finally gets control of the zombie, like the hands are like, the zombie hands are like breaking and turning to try to turn his fingers so he can do the signs and cast the different things. And I'm just like, man, this is, from like that interaction with him and that Strange back or to the end, well, during that whole segment, I agree with you. Like it's so great. Like I love that, and the interaction with the Strange before the zombie was great as well. Like that whole part was really good.
Yeah. So specifically with that, I've even heard people complain about that fight sequence. They fight with music. What did you think about that whole scene and setup?
The music. So so that's what kind of ties in right to the origins, because he says something like when he first sees him, like, tell me something only we would know. And he says, like, our sister drowned, but we don't talk about that, do we? And then, it was kind of that back and forth there. And I can't even remember, like, what happened. Like, he does that other Strange, like, gets him tied up. He gets him constrained in some way. And then our Strange notices whatever. I don't even remember, like, exactly how it lined up, but the note or whatever from the piano music book, and then starts doing it. Yeah, and I've seen so many complaints from it, and everybody was like, oh, that was the biggest eye roll moment for the movie for me, and completely took me out of it, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, why? Like, these are based off of comic books. He's a sorcerer. Like, why would you, like you said earlier, why would you not do stuff like that? Like, everybody loves that. Yeah. What's that movie with Mickey? Was it Fantasia? Where he's like a wizard and he's got the fucking mops cleaning shit and doing all that. Like, everybody loves that. This is the same shit.
Yeah. I loved it, man. Like, and I think Danny Elfman did the score for this. And I love, this is probably one of my favorite Marvel scores, because I could feel that it had like its own unique, weird, dark magic kind of flavorings. And that scene specifically, I think they used like one of the classic compositions. I don't know the name of it. It's probably like Beethoven or something. Yeah. But you could tell they were like, and then it was like, I loved it visually. And that's something actually I wanted to bring up even though there was spotty CGI, I noticed immediately, even like that intro scene that kind of sucked. I noticed that Strange was doing stuff that I never have seen him do. Like all his other magics that we've seen, even in Infinity War and Endgame, like it was all like maybe him duplicating himself or him using like 1,000 of those like magical whips to like constrain Thanos. But in here, immediately he like uses there were like 2 serpent heads that come out of his hands.
Yeah, he's calling
or
on
like
them.
or he makes a giant demon hand to grab like a pole out of the ground that he stabs in the eye of the Gorgon creature or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, we've never seen... Like, it almost kind of reminded me of like how in Green Lantern, like his magic takes different forms and shapes. And I loved how in this one, every time he used his magic, it was like different demons or something in the satanic realm. It was always different. And it was always like purpose... Like whatever the purpose of that fight was, and I thought that was awesome.
Oh yeah,
like, I don't know why. Like that just like immediately like holy fuck, that's Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
like that's what he does is like weird, creepy shit. And like even when they in the attack with the initial attack, I forgot the name of the place where all the
Carmitage
sorcerers are.
Carmitage.
Yeah. And then he puts Wanda in that like. I don't know, was it a spell or something where she's like in the reflection room?
Oh, yeah.
That shit was fucking awesome. Oh my God, dude. That's another like 10 out of 10 moment of the film.
And she's going through the puddles or whatever. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, that part was so badass. But that's what I was talking about earlier. Like this. So the first Doctor Strange movie, obviously he's learning, and so he's doing very basic things. And then in Infinity War and Endgame, we see him do more stuff, but it's still pretty basic because he hasn't been Doctor Strange for that long. And then now we're seeing him do like this is more of what Doctor Strange is, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't have magic in him. He's not inherently magical. He's just a normal cat, and so he has to call on this magic from everywhere else. And so we get the hands coming in from, and I can't remember the name of those, and there's one part where he opens up the portal and that big like other monster comes through, bites the car and goes through the portal, right, to save the lady from getting squashed by the car and all the things. So we got and that's probably Raimi was like, no, I want to do this weird shit. And so we got to see Doctor Strange. Like that's what a Doctor Strange comic book is him being weird as hell and calling in all this weird stuff. And so yeah, and that's who Doctor Strange is, and that's what makes him so cool, and we got it in this movie. That's why I said this movie is Doctor Strange for sure.
Hell yeah, man. Oh my gosh. So one other I guess what so in the intro, because I didn't like that monster.
Gigantos?
Because, I just thought, I don't know if it was the CGI that was bad.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Just how it played out. Like, I don't understand why we didn't, because what was confusing, and this is where I feel like that whole thing was a reshoot, and that was added in later, because before that, we get that the dreams are the multiverses or whatever, and we see, I forgot what Strange it was, Defender Strange or something.
Yeah.
He gets killed. She makes a portal. She teleports out of the portal.
Right.
I assume that creature jumped through as well, and that's how we got the creature that comes into the city. But that creature was way different.
Yeah.
And then we get Gargantuous in the city, and I was like, wait, where did that creature come from? Like, is that just something Wanda created because she knew she jumped into our...
Right, yeah, supposedly it was just Wanda creating it, yeah. Gigantos, and see, like, initially when everybody saw it and it was showed and rumored, everybody thought it was going to be Shumagorath, who's tied to Doctor Strange. He's in a lot of... he's in a big alien thingy, kind of like that, in a lot of comics and things like that, so everybody thought it was going to be that, but it ended up being Gigantos. And again, the cover is that it's just a demon that Wanda sends to chase after. Yeah, and I'm kind of with you again. Like, that beginning CGI for me was, like, really kind of off. Like, even when it grabs Doctor Strange, and then there's a moment where I think it throws or hits America, it's Wong, and it just looks terrible. Like that kind of whole beginning section is kind of bad, minus the wedding. Like I love the wedding, the whole wedding segment, but man, that early fight was, ugh.
Yeah, and so the wedding thing. Like if I could rewrite that monster, I was actually thinking it'd be so cool to have a monster that, like, let's say you cut in half and it like morphs into two. Like I think I would go for like a small demon type thing, like a weird scampy imp thing, and then like every time Strange would like cut it in half or something, it would make two imps, and then like it'd just be terrorizing the city. And it's like I was wanting something like stupid, like Gremlins kind of level, just like a mass of stupid creatures.
Yeah.
And then Strange is like, what the fuck is going on?
It just
and that would have like, because you could feel the like weird humor that they were trying to put in with this big single-eyed creature, but it was just too big. Like, we've seen big creatures destroy a city so many times that I think it would have been cooler if it was something more annoying and like festering, or like something like that. Versus this big thing. But with the wedding thing, I like the idea of the wedding thing, and I agree with you, like what you said early on about it feeling kind of out of place. Like that honestly felt like that should have been at the end of the movie. And I was thinking, like, what if they just like it starts at the wedding and then it interrupts with this monster thing, and then they immediately go into hole punching or something. Because I also thought it was weird how he went to Wanda and was like, I need your help or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, even that felt out of place. Like, honestly, like that felt like, I don't know, that felt like it was a reshoot or something as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
but there's just like weird placement narrative wise.
That first part it did feel oddly out of place. Like it didn't feel right. Like I don't know. Like to me again, like I thought with what the wedding scene was and could have been even more of an emotional thing. Like I feel like it was just out of place. I get that. I guess you wanted something to have the monster interrupt and blah, 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 to have kind of that moment, that hero moment or whatever. But yeah, that kind of whole, we've said it already so much on this thing. Like it just felt so weirdly out of place and cut up. Like, and who knows, like, again, with as much that did get cut and reshoots and things, like, shit, that that probably was like middle of the movie or something. We just
and that's like one of the writing things that I disliked. And I know you liked some of these elements, but like I hated, like, I get the watch thing because I think that was in the first movie, like the watch being broken, and then like we get those three parts of him with the watch, but they feel like they don't feel like natural things that are happening in the movie. It feels like a writer writing them in, like that memory portal thing where we see him get the watch for the first time. Yeah. Like there's no way you just jump into a new universe and that's the memory that plays.
Yeah.
Like I don't buy it. And then him fixing the watch at the end, like they're all good moments, but they feel like you should have rewritten that a little bit, like kind of work that into it naturally. And it was the same thing with like him talking to that doctor, and it's like, I bet you couldn't have done something different. Like it's a good line, but it's like it feels forced. Like it feels like a writer trying to tell you something versus a writer letting something happen.
I just, man, like that could have been so, like, even to me, like that was still such a gut punch, and I know that just hit. I know that had to hit or would have hit like him in such a spot. Like I felt like that's why I said that wedding, if that could have been done maybe a little differently or something, like, man, that was such a cool, like, it could have been such a cool scenario.
Or like tie it in with his, like how you were saying his origin is like he's lost so much of his family.
Yeah.
And then, you're at this wedding and then some guy is like, I lost all my family. And then like smash into a flashback of him losing his family or something. Yeah. And then being like, no, that was the only way. And then him starting to feel that doubt of, shit, was that the only... Like,
and that was the doctor from the first one. That was the dude who,
yeah,
wanted to claim that, or not claim, that wanted to say that the dude was dead, and Strange was like, no, we can pull the thing out, and blah, 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 blah. He's just paralyzed or something. So, and I'm with you. Like, if you could have shown something there to kind of tie it back in, but God, it was just so, I don't know. To me, any kind of callback to that Infinity War Endgame, to me, is automatically just like, it gets me. Yeah, it hits me, man, where I'm like, fuck. So,
yeah, because that is the biggest emotional thing that we've gotten.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could anchor everything back to that and it'd be perfect. Yeah. But one thing that again, another writer thing, I love how they ask him, like, are you happy, Strange? Yeah. And I like how that is a thing. Yeah. Like, I think that is the right thing to focus on.
Yeah.
Because then you're creating a parallel of, look, Strange isn't happy, Wanda isn't happy. You can see how they're similar in ways and fantasizing about different versions. But I don't think the writer did a good enough job setting that up. Like, he just wrote it in. But I don't think we ever see Strange, like, besides that wedding moment, like, we do see him kind of unhappy, but, like, I wanted to see him truly unhappy and him actually start fantasizing about, like, well, why can't I have, I forgot her name, Catherine or Christine or something?
Oh, Christine.
Yeah, like, why can't I have Christine? Like I would like to see maybe him not give into it, but him start to think about it and, like, it actually be some sort of possibility. And I think that's how you would be able to write that in, but I don't think they did it justice with what they gave us.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, I mean, I like the moment at the end where he's like, I love you in every universe. And, like, that was a nice, sweet moment. And I like how it actually plays at the end. So it makes sense. But I don't know. I think we could have
and then
more.
I guess you also kind of just want to stay with the character. Like, Steve, like, even, like, I don't know, like, he's never, like, I don't know. Like, to me, that would be weird. Like, if there was a moment where he was like, why can't I have, like, if he started, like, introspecting or whatever, like, because that's just not what Stephen Strange does. Like, like, that's just not, so, like, for some, like, but again, like, that's the difference between, like, watching, you know what I'm saying? Like, watching this and trying to think, okay, like, if we were trying to make this, like, a different kind of movie, go about it these different ways, so.
Or honestly, I would have cut her out. Like, I don't see why every hero has to have a girlfriend in the movies. I don't know if that's how it is in the comics, but, like, this dude's busy. Like, I don't see him really.
That's and that
about.
Well, I think she was in this so much due to the post credit, because Clea, like, him and her end up married, and that's who he ends up with. So okay. That's a cool.
So they wanted to
like,
show
Christine Palmer, the Night Nurse.
Finale.
She's around in comics, so she's not a movie character. She's an actual comic book character. But, again, like, I think it'd be a cool way, because it's like, oh, our universe, Doctor Strange never gets the thing, blah, 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 blah. Well, now Clea's here, and all that can change.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so just to kind of wrap this puppy up, I wanted to say something else about Wanda. I think I've already said, like, my displeasures with all, like, what happens with her, but I just wanted to note that, like, I don't know, it's just so weird, because she gets the redemption in WandaVision, and then she gets the book, and then now we just assume she's evil. And I just don't, like, obviously she's probably not dead, right? No. Like, even with this ending where she collapsed, so we're gonna get her again. It just feels weird.
Never
like,
shows her die.
She already had an ending. She had another ending, and then I guess we're gonna get her back again later.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't. We don't see her die, so you can only assume that she's not. And I guess because you don't see her, people will assume she's dead or whatever. Like, I think that, I don't know. There's ways to go around that. So it could be, maybe there's so many ways they can show, like, what happened, I guess, in that moment or whatever. So yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get her back. And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is because she talked about how she wants to keep playing Wanda. And she even said, she was like, look, I want to be, not only do I want to keep playing this character, I want to be a big part of the mutants and bringing the mutants in. So I loved her quote yesterday was like, hey, instead of asking these suits and everybody else, she's like, why don't the comic book fans tell us how they want Wanda to be done from here on out? And that's how we do it. And I was like, damn, that'd be cool as hell. So, hopes are still high for what we get with Wanda, because they could still do some really cool shit with her.
Yeah.
Like this is not the end. This is not the pinnacle of cool shit that Wanda Maximoff can do. Like there is still plenty of really cool things for her.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I hope we see her again, because if this is the end of it, then I'm kind of like, what the hell? But one thing I did love, because I love, again, like there's emotional things in this film that I think work. I just think they could have been better done. But the moment we get at the end with Wanda seeing the other Wanda, and then the kids being like, "You're a fucking monster," and I love how they're throwing shit at her. It's like, you're throwing shit at someone who literally snapped necks, cut people in half, and these kids are like, "Go away, go away!"
Showing her, like, I thought that was powerful too. Like, because Strange even tells Chavez, like, no, keep it open just a little bit longer. Like, let her see how bad she is. I love that whole moment.
Yeah, and I love the emotional arc of that whole thing. And I just loved all that stuff. I wish, it would have made sense that she would have come to terms with that earlier. Like, you are aware you're gonna have to kill another Wanda, or I wish we would have seen more of that kind of processing before. But the moment still worked at the end, and then just the craziness of it all was awesome. And then I love the performance. I love how one of her is just like all bloodied up and shit, and the other one's not. And I noticed that they get away with the PG-13 with the blood on her face because they make it black oil from the Ultron bots or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's obviously like blood, but it's just a cool visual. And then again, the other thing I really loved, there's a moment, I think a lot of people tuned out in this part because it goes full Raimi. They're running down the tunnels and shit, and it just turns into a slasher movie.
I loved it.
And she's just barefoot flopping around, limping.
Loved it.
And they're just like, fuck.
That's where, a lot of people hated that. I thought it was cool as hell. Like, I loved when the camera panned from their faces just continuously. Like, I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, "Man, I almost got up and walked out." And I was like, "Dude, chill the fuck out. Like, that was cool, man. Like, stop with this bullshit."
Yeah. But so just to wrap up, because we're already like 2 hours into this puppy. To wrap up, so you mentioned the Clea thing. So I guess set up just briefly, or however you want, in depth you want to get. Like, what is the future that we're aiming for?
Well, this movie has 100% confirmed, set up. Secret Wars. That is what the incursions bring on. That is something that they say multiple times in this movie. Reed Richards comes in. He says it a few times. Clea shows up at the end. She mentions it. The incursions is what starts Secret Wars, which is the conversion of multiple planet or universes colliding together, and one has to be destroyed. It is in the comics, it is how, because at the time they had the 616 universe, which is what we all know Marvel to be, and then they also had the Ultimate Universe, which in that universe they had, Superior Iron Man, they had Miles Morales, they had all these alternate characters, and they wanted to bring a few of those real popular ones over to the 616, so the only way they could think to do that is to destroy everything. So Secret Wars. And so that is what this movie, I guess, with the mention of the incursions and all that, that's what they're building towards. Me personally, I think that's how they should end the MCU. I think they should get to Secret Wars and let Secret Wars be it and be done with ever making Marvel movies. Because I think that would be such a perfect bow on everything. And man, what's to come with that is big stuff. The Fantastic Four, obviously, Doom, Kang, all that stuff. Like, if you thought Thanos was cool, just give it a little time, because there's some bad people still out there.
Okay, so I have one question, because this is something I just realized to think. So the reason Secret Wars was so big in the comics is that you had the Ultimate people, and then you had the other people, and then there was the collision, right?
Right.
So do you think, for this to be as huge and impactful as it needs to be, so we already have our MCU as like our proper timeline universe.
Yeah, 616.
But for the Secret Wars for the Secret Wars to be a huge event, we have to have characters from another universe that we care about, that we have spent time with. Do you think they're going to start making films in an alternate universe with alternate versions of characters that we will come to enjoy, or you think they won't do that?
No, I don't, and here's why. Because again, with the comics, they kind of messed up with the way they were doing it, and they started doing this ultimate thing because they wanted to branch out, right? They wanted all these alternate versions of things, like different Iron Mans and different Caps and different Spider-Man and all this other stuff. Well, when some of those characters got real popular, they were like, oh shit, like that's making a lot of money. We got to bring it in. So what they'll do, because what they can do with the movie version of it is, which it's hard to say with Sony and Spider-Man stuff anyways, like you don't know what Sony's going to end up letting them do. But what they'll do is they'll just let it be known that like an incursion is happening, because what ends up happening is there's a race of like aliens and stuff, like the Beyonders and the Creators and all these other beings that help like form and create the universe and all this other. So they essentially like go to war because our Illuminati, our people are trying to stop the incursions, right? Because they don't want Earth to be destroyed. Mm-hmm. And so they all kind of go to war, and then as things start collapsing, people start taking advantage, and that's how you end up with, and I'm paraphrasing a lot, so if a big comic book fan or something listens to this, like, please do not leave bad reviews with my paraphrased version of explaining this. Yeah, very, very cliff notes. So people start taking advantage, and that's how you end up with God Doom and others kind of staking claims to different sections and different things like that. So, and then it becomes like kind of a war here on Earth where everybody's trying to, again, take advantage like of things, and it just kind of, leads to a big bang type situation. And it all ends with Franklin essentially, playing marbles with like our universe, and picks him up, puts him in a bag, and hops on Galactus and walks off. So it would be a cool, like, again, I think it would be a cool bow to put on the MCU if they build towards it. So to answer your question in a very long way, no, they won't start making like alternate movie universe characters or anything. But maybe this will help us see a live action Miles and, some other things later down the line, when we get closer to a Secret Wars.
Hell yeah.
Maybe Russo's with their pull can help get some stuff done, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah. And I think I remember you saying that they were saying that it'd be like 4 movies or something. Wild.
Yeah, they've talked about it before. Like, Secret Wars is the only thing they would come back for. And I know initially, I think they said like either like 4, 5, or 6. Like it would. They said it would have to be like multiple situations. And it is. It's a big event. Like, it's a monster ass event. So there's a lot that happens. You could very easily do 6 movies and make each movie about each Illuminati member leading up to the last movie, which would be the All-Out War, which is pretty much what the comic books do. So, there's a really cool way to do it.
Hell yeah, man. All right, man. Well, we're going to leave it there because we just hit the 2-hour mark. But so, again, man, thank you so much for coming along on this journey and talking about this movie with me.
Yeah.
I've been needing someone to watch these MCU movies with and to like actually go in depth and like talk about all the things. So I'm really grateful that you took the time today to come on Cineverm for it, man.
Well, yeah, thank you. First of all, my pleasure. Second of all, there's still so much more. Like, I know that I could talk about.
We could have gone on for like another 5
easily,
hours.
And I know that we probably will end up discussing it all in our phone conversations eventually. But thank you again for letting me come on again to be on Cineverm. So cool, because this is like the first podcast I really ever listened to. Trying to get got my little journey going. So again, thank you for letting me come on and be a guest, and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. And then we'll have to bring you back. What is Thor, like in a month, right?
July 8th.
Okay, so 2 months. Okay, so yeah, we'll have you back for Thor.
Yeah.
And that'll be a fucking great
That should
time.
be fun.
Yeah. All right. So thanks everyone for listening to this episode of Cineverm. We would be grateful and humbled if you could leave us a review with your thoughts or comments on Apple Podcasts or Good Pods, and if you could share us with your friends or family, as that helps us in our journey to spread the love of cinema. And we're going to see you next time. And don't forget to check out the Back Bedroom podcast. That's Jeffrey's podcast, where he has a lot of fun, talks about all kinds of fun stuff. So check that out. Follow him on Twitter. And yeah, thank y'all so much. And y'all have a good day. Cineverm.